So this drink is coming out of the book Booze and Vinyl. There was absolutely nothing pop punk in here. The closest thing I could find was like Radiohead. So I just kind of opened to a page where I found something pretty simple to make. This is actually the Snoop Doggy Dogg. We're making gin and juice.
Keeping it simple.
Was actually on the album Punk Goes Crunk. The band Red Hot Circuit did a cover of it. Anyway.
But the whole reason we were trying to do like a pop punk theme was because
all right, yeah, now let me introduce.
We got to introduce our guest.
All right. So I know David mostly from his work in his local band, Y'all Out Boy, which for a local cover band has by far exceeded any standards of a cover band. They're getting ready to sell out Stubbs, which is pretty insane considering the bands that they cover are performing at the same venue.
Right.
I've seen all of their anniversary shows since, I believe, the third, which, let's test myself here, which I believe was at Empire Garage. Then the fourth is at Far Out Lounge. The fifth was at Emo's. Mm-hmm. Again, sold out in huge venue.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Stubbs coming up.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exactly what you said. Never in a million years did we think that's what it would turn into when we got started with it.
What did you think it was going to be?
It was just meant to be a fun, like, creative outlet. When I moved to Austin, I wanted to do music, have always done music, have done a bunch of bands, but didn't want to do it, like, trying to make it.
Right.
Just meant to be a for fun, like, side project while I have a normal job. And then, put it together a year in, kind of played our first show, and then it really did. It's kind of like lightning in a bottle, we describe it with Y'all Boy. It was just like the perfect combination of the city of Austin, this genre of music that's very nostalgic for people.
Yep.
And then we like to think we're all right at what we do, and so I think that combination.
So you're the guitar player, correct?
That's right. Yep.
There's only you as the guitar player, is that right?
And then Alex, the front man, the lead vocalist, he also is doing rhythm guitar.
Okay. How long you been playing?
Guitar or with Y'all Boy?
Both.
Guitar, really seriously since high school. So, man, that's a long time. Like, I don't know, since I was, 14? And then with Y'all Boy, we've been doing it now almost 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the band, did you guys meet in Austin? Did you meet, because we, off camera, we talked, you're not originally from Austin.
Right.
So you want to tell the people where you're from?
I'm from the suburbs of Minneapolis, Minnesota, originally. So that's where I grew up. And then Y'all Out Boy met through Craigslist. Actually.
Look at that.
So when I moved down, like I said, I wanted to start a creative outlet band cover type thing for fun. And so I posted to Craigslist being like, hey, I'm starting this concept. Like, send me a video to apply. And that's literally how I met all of the guys.
Nice. Wow. And so everybody who's in the band, is it the originals, or, focusing on the cocktail here for Snoop Dogg, is it all the OGs?
So the very first turn of the band, which was like 3 months, there was 2 other guys who went other ways, and then Alex filled in. But since our very first show, it is the OGs.
Look at that.
So pretty much the answer is yes.
Ever since the very first show at Blind Pig.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, here's to Y'all Out Boy.
All right.
Looking forward to hearing more about y'all.
Yeah.
So who came up with the name?
Patrick Stump and Pete Wentz.
It was a long process, actually, to figure out a name. But Jason, the bass player, came up with it. But there was many versions before that. We wanted it to be a punny type thing. And so we had the Austin American Rejects, Stacy's Dads, My Chemical Bromance. There was many. And then
those are some good ones.
I know. Jason came up.
You should have trademarked those, because now people are going to hear them. They're going to steal them.
They're free
all of our listeners.
But then Jason, the bass player, came with Y'all Boy, and initially we were like, maybe, and then we kind of fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So you want to hear something better? My kickball team, I named it after Y'all Out Boy. We were called Ball Out Boy.
No way.
Look at that.
He named it after Y'all Out Boy, not Ball Out
Boy. Yes, exactly.
So y'all get together. we get on Craigslist, we meet, we start jamming. Are we, obviously we're practicing, but then eventually, like, who's getting the gigs? Like, who's doing the politicking for Y'all Out Boy?
Yeah. So I kind of was the impetus a little bit to start it, but Jason, the bass player, really took the reins to become, as we say, the band dad. And
Okay.
so he's really the biggest driving force of booking shows, honestly managing the band. And we all have different roles, but he's that driving force really since day one in that part of it.
Have you thought about franchising it like the Spasmatics?
Yeah, we actually have, and we just don't want to do it.
Okay.
Like, it would work. Like, this concept, we've played in a bunch of cities now outside of Austin at this point, and it hits everywhere. We played a bunch of shows out on the East Coast, and so it would work. But it's not like other businesses where it's like super scalable. Like, you'd have to go find
It's not the Blue Man
talented
Group.
people, and like they'd have to do stuff. Like, it's just not worth that.
Because the Spasmatics have like a costume, right? Like that's
Yeah,
their
they have
thing.
a shtick, right?
Right.
And we have less of that. We're just four dudes that go up and try
Gotcha.
to rip it. Yeah.
For those that don't know the Spasmatics, I mean, that's, people always act like they've seen the original Spasmatics, but I assure you, you probably have not. It's kind of a, what would you call it? It's also ultimately like a franchise where the guys dress up super nerdy. They're wearing like, suspenders and nerd glasses with tape on it, and they're doing covers, but typically of like 80s.
Exactly. 80s. Yep.
Right.
And I think it was started in California.
Okay.
And then the guy who started it, did franchise it. So I don't know how that works, but they're fun. We've been to a bunch of shows. I remember when we started Y'all Out Boy, we were like, maybe one day we can be like the Spasmatics.
There you go.
No
And
way.
we have,
Maybe you can open up for them.
Aspirations.
our local shows, much respect to them, but have surpassed that. So we surpassed our goals.
Take that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, nowhere to go but up. I feel like year 7 will be the Moody Center.
I know, right? We keep joking. Actually, now that we're doing stubs, we're like, yeah, where do we go from here? It is like that, which I think is like a over 5,000 type venue.
ACL.
The Moody Center is
Well,
17,000.
Yeah.
We got to do ACL.
It's one of those things you.
ACL Live is like, I think it's slightly smaller than Stubbs.
Okay.
Moody Theater.
It's one of those things you book it, and I would say for like an anniversary show like that, you book the Moody Center, you make the tickets free, and you just see if people will show up.
Just go. And
I think they would.
that would be pretty fun. But you'd have to have like a bigger bill. I don't think Y'all Boy alone could do 17,000. Oh, I know that for a fact.
Grab bowling for soup.
Yeah.
Does everyone in the band have full-time jobs as well?
We all do. Yep. A lot of entrepreneurs in the group. And so, but we all do have normal, like, call it 9 to 5 type things that we're working on outside of Y'all Out Boy.
Nice. So to introduce the other side of you, and then we're going to just kind of mix in between. So you're also the founder and CEO of CoinLedger, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to introduce it. You do accounting and taxes for cryptocurrency investors.
Yeah. The easiest way to explain it is it's like TurboTax for crypto investors. So in that space, it can get very complicated very fast to calculate your capital gains, losses, and income from all that trading activity. So we launched CoinLedger to essentially be a one-stop platform where you could import your trades. We spit out all the tax forms that you need to be compliant to file that income with your tax return.
When do I pay taxes on the gains of my coins? When I cash it out, or is it sitting in the account?
Whenever you incur a taxable event, which is anytime you dispose of an asset. And so a disposal could be you sell it for fiat currency, like you saw I was cashing it out, or it could be you trade it for another cryptocurrency. That's a common one that trips people up. So even if you haven't cashed it out of your Coinbase account or whatever, if you traded one cryptocurrency to another, that's a disposal of the first one, and you realized a gain or loss in US dollar terms. And so again, this is where the complexity starts to get in, and people realize, I need to report this income, and it becomes very hairy to actually figure out the actual amount of income they've incurred during the year.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like there's nobody else doing this because...
Surprisingly, it's a very competitive space.
Oh, really?
It is.
Why is that?
In 2018, after the 2017, I don't know how
2017 was a boom.
how
I thought it was going to never
crypto
work again.
native,
I was in
y'all are.
college.
But that spawned an insane amount of growth in this industry, and tax reporting was a glaring problem for tens of millions of people, and so a lot of venture capital flowed into tax reporting startups for cryptocurrency. And so we have a handful of very, very well-funded competitors that are all jockeying for market share at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you all the biggest? Or
No, we'd be top 3, but there's a company out in San Francisco, Coin Tracker, that's pretty big, and then a couple others. But it's pretty neck and neck. Like it's very cutthroat still, and it's competitive.
What made you decide to enter that space? I mean,
So
were you a coin bro?
Well, I wouldn't describe myself that way, but I'm deep in the industry, and back then, me and my 2 partners who started Coin Ledger, we had the problem ourselves. So we had been trading a lot, and eventually we found out that all of that trading activity needs to get reported in US dollar terms. And we were like, we have no way to do this. We have to go back and like figure out what the USD price of Bitcoin was on like July 12th, 2016, right? And every time you made a trade, you have to calculate the spot price at that time to actually figure out the income that you earned. And so we were trying to do this with spreadsheets, and that's when we were like, wait, let's stop trading and let's just build tax automation for all these other people like us who have this exact same problem. So that's how we stumbled across that problem.
and then how did you market it? I mean, so you find this problem, you're like, okay, we implement everything we need, and then how did you market it?
So obviously it evolves as you go. In the earliest stages, it was
Just like y'all out, boy.
Exactly. In the early stages, it was just spamming Reddit.
Like y'all out, boy.
It was just like, various subreddits were like, popping off about all cryptocurrency content. And we just posted like, hey, we built this tax software for all y'all traders. And just through like one post, like we'd get like hundreds of signups.
Wow.
Now, the software back then didn't work, so it was everyone requesting a refund. But, then you layer on different channels. So like SEO is massive for us. Paid media became very big, influencer marketing, partnerships like business development, kind of the usual suspects of marketing, like a software type platform.
I just noticed you're wearing the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I love this shit.
So do you find that there's more and more people getting into crypto every day, or did we see a big push and people are getting out?
Yeah, no, the market has been contracting now for the past 2 years, so that makes it not fun to build a business in that space. But for the past decade, we've seen the market ebb and flow. And so what everyone says in the industry is you have to survive the down cycles and then just try to not let the servers melt when, you go through more bull market times.
Sounds like real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, similarities, and it all ties together from the macro perspective.
Any predictions on where the business is headed in the next 3 to 5 years? Crypto, I mean.
No, honestly, I have no idea.
Good answer.
Hopefully, risk on assets start to rip again. Right now.
You're paid to
looks
look at the
good.
past, not the future.
Yeah, and paid to really be able to survive in both environments. And so now it's been contracted for 2 years. So we've really leaned out and made sure we can be a sustainable company even in tough times. So if good times come, great. If they don't, we're still fine on that business.
Yeah, it felt like a couple years ago when crypto was all the rage. 2017, we started hearing about it a lot in real estate, people wanting to purchase homes with their crypto assets. I'm not sure if you see it from your side. Have you seen people still do that? I haven't heard about it in a while.
The thing about like blockchain and crypto, the hype got so far ahead of where the technology is. And this is so common with any boom cycle. It's happening in AI right now. The hype gets so far ahead of where the actual infrastructure build out is. And so, back in 17 and then again in 2020, the use cases for this, is going to solve cancer, and you just need to put it on a blockchain and that will solve everything. And so there's a ton of use cases in real estate, deeds on the blockchain, and that'll bring more liquidity to the market because there's less, transaction burden and, middlemen associated with it. And we haven't seen any of that come to fruition. Now,
No.
that doesn't mean you never will, but again, the hype just got so far ahead of where things were actually from like an infrastructure build out perspective. So who knows? But yeah, I remember hearing all the use cases of the hype about everything you could imagine with it.
Yeah, I feel like we get so much new technology, and I feel like I hear about it first going into real estate. Like 2 years ago, I was at a conference, and the speakers were saying everyone needs to get licensed to sell real estate in the metaverse. And I was like, man, if I have to start doing this, like, I'm going to go lay bricks instead. Like,
that's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, like, Zuckerberg kicked that whole thing off with rebranding Facebook to Meta, and he's like, the metaverse is the next thing, and it's gonna all be like blockchain powered, and like that kicked off this huge hype cycle, which is great for a business like CoinLedger because all of a sudden all this additional taxable activity is happening, and we absorb that demand. But who knows where everything will shake out? There's definitely some real use cases of the technology, and then there's a lot that's just purely smoke and mirrors, right? And people trying to make a buck off hype.
In 2011, I tried to convince the COO of my company. I was in the mortgage industry at this time, but I was working for a corporation, a little different than what I'm doing now. And I tried to convince them that we needed to go through on-camera training so that we could learn how to sell home loans through what ultimately now would be described as like a platform like Zoom, because everything we were doing was in a call center. And I said, I just envision this time when it'll be imperative that we're able to sell on camera. And I kid you not, he was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I swear to God. I was in like 2011. Yeah. So flash forward to like 2020, obviously, there was a ton of awkwardness of people that like were now really required to be doing stuff on camera. And even now, like I use programs like BombBomb and all of these things where it's hard for me as a loan officer to really get in front of people physically. I mean, some people prefer it, but usually, like I'm like a vampire. Like you don't really want to meet with me, but I have to be invited. And doing all the on-camera stuff has really been lucrative, and there are things to it that I think personally are important. That if you're not doing correctly when you're presenting on Zoom, it is very awkward. I mean, I think all of us have sat in some sort of presentation in some form or fashion, or even like a manager meeting or something where who's good at it and who's not. So to your point about technology and all of these things, sometimes things take a lot longer than we anticipate. I just remember getting hardcore shot down by my COO about what now is like
just
super commonplace, right? So
what are some of the other bigger things you wish you had invested in earlier? So going back to coin,
the Snuggie.
Oh, really? I had a friend who bought a fake ID with Bitcoin. Like we're talking, this was like 2000. We were in high school. This is like 2012-ish, I'll say. I think it's like 600 Bitcoin he paid to buy a fake ID. Wow. And we're like, what's Bitcoin? That's so dumb. If he held on to just a little.
Yeah, I mean, similar.
See, I don't regret buying it then. I regret not buying it in like March of 2020 when like the pandemic was hitting really hard.
It dropped to 3,000.
Yeah, it dropped to $3,000. And I was already invested, but I was like, the whole world's ending.
I had been building a business in the space for 2.5 years, and I didn't even do it, right? It's like the psychology is wild. And I remember telling a friend at the time, I'm like, hey, if you're ever going to get in Bitcoin, like now is a really good time. It just drew down like 80%. And I didn't even really do that. But hindsight's 2020.
Well, and again, we say this on the podcast all the time. I mean, real estate is one of those things that we are constantly talking about in hindsight, just because, totally. I mean, I've been in this business for a very long time. I remember having conversations with people in 2008, 2009 who had purchased in like 4, 5, and 6. They were well underwater. I mean, nothing like what anyone could describe now, where they're like, I could barely sell my house. Like these people were 20, 30, 40. I mean, depending on where you lived in the country, places like California could be 6 figures underwater. And if you're in that situation, you feel like the world is coming to an end, like you've made this horrible, horrible investment. But I'd say 90% of these people were like, well, I'm not moving. Mm-hmm. And just like Bitcoin or any stock or any piece of real estate, it's really only matters what it's worth when you sell. Right. So then flash forward to like 2021, 2022, these people had refinanced. They've lived in the home. They've established so much equity. They're turning around and selling their house for, multiple six figures and then moving to Austin and buying houses in cash. And they're beating their chests like, I'm a genius for getting into home ownership. When in reality, I had those conversations with them in like 8, 9, and 10. And they're like, Matt, you don't understand. Like, my life is over. Like, someone needs to come and save me. But they don't talk about that, So I'm sure Bitcoin could potentially
just hold,
be.
Baby. Just hold.
There it is. There it is.
Real estate, Bitcoin, just hold. Cover bands.
All right, back to cover.
That's what I want to talk
Yeah,
about.
I
I want to
agree.
talk about
Okay,
y'all out,
no, I'm
boy.
glad we got the clips for the finance stuff.
Right,
All right,
right.
back to music. What's the feeling when you're gonna get on stage with sold out stubs?
It's just like, it's the feeling of like, how did this become what it's become? I remember walking on to Emos it was 1,800 people there. And I was just like, this is stupid. Like, this is like so dumb. Do they not realize that we're like a cover band?
I had a friend who was in town. I was trying to get him a last minute ticket to that show,
it was
and you
crazy.
could not get
No,
one. Not at the door. Nowhere. Like nobody online selling.
No, they were going secondhand on StubHub for like, I think a ticket to go was maybe like $25, and they were going for like over $100.
Wow. Do you guys gear up in any way, like kind of like a shtick, or you're just out there in regular clothes? Or
No, I mean, we like play the like scene part. Like, we're in like black jeans and like
Got
black
it.
mostly, but it's
Maybe
not
some
like
guy
we're,
liner?
Like, no.
Do you flip
none
your
of us
guitar
do it.
around?
No,
Man.
we don't.
Nobody's
Okay.
flat iron.
We
their
just we really plug in and play, and I think that's what people like. Like, there's not a ton of shtick. Like, you've been to a bunch of shows.
You're not
It's
like
just-
Steel Panther.
No.
hair. I love Steel Panther.
Steel Panther's great.
I just saw them recently.
But yeah, the feeling of what it's like to walk on ice, it's awesome. The energy is like wild, and then it's just like, how did this turn into what it turned into?
So is the music, we know the genre obviously is kind of like the pop punk, like basically what would be 2010s,
It's like
Right.
2000s.
2000s. I feel like I just missed that. I was in like the NoFX, AFI, all of that kind of
So yeah,
stuff.
we do some AFI.
Like that.
Miss Murder.
Was it music that you were into and then you went after it, as a cover, or did you kind of identify like a market that you could potentially capitalize on?
So it's funny. It was modeled after a band in Minneapolis.
Okay.
So there's a band in Minneapolis, which is again where I'm from. They're called Some Shitty Cover Band, which is a funny name. And they do a very similar concept, slightly different. Like, they bring in a little more pop stuff.
Okay.
But they crush it, and they play some like sweet venues in downtown Minneapolis. And so when I moved to Austin, I'm like, I'm gonna steal Some Shitty Cover Band. I'm gonna do it in Austin.
Okay.
And so that was the model. But I remember when we first put the group together, and we were deciding, kind of start to outline what would a set list look like. There was a discussion, like Jason, who came up with the name, was like, all right, we have to make a decision. Do we want to go more like just pop songs of 2000s, 2010s?
Right.
Or do we want to like really be the genre of emo, pop punk, and stay narrow to that? And that's what we decided to do. It's not like there was any sort of like formulaic process. It was just like, that's what we want to do. And so we are narrowly emo and pop punk. Nothing really outside of that. And
Any reason sticking with that genre? I mean, you've obviously, like we talked about Spasmatics, they do the 80s stuff. Steel Panther does all like the cock rock. I'm trying to
Call
think.
that hair metal.
Hair metal, cock rock. I mean, those guys, come on, was I wrong?
No, you're not.
You've got like classic rock. So you guys picked a specific genre was there, and
So then you talk about, like, did you love this music? So I did, but they laugh if the other guys were here. They'd say I'm the poser of the band.
Okay.
Because the three of them are very much, they grew up in the scene of, like, the emo pop punk scene.
Got it.
And I'm slightly younger than them, and so I had the second half of the stuff they know.
Yes.
And then they, like, probably half the songs we play, maybe 30%. I didn't know until I was instructed to learn the song. So I'm a big fan of like the poppier side of the genre. So like All American Rejects, Boys Like Girls, like, and then Jason, Alex, they're a little older, and they brought in all the more like emo kind of older stuff, which rounds it out. But I'd say the biggest driving force is they and me were very big fans of the genre and, wanted to do that for the songs we play.
That makes so much sense. I'm 28, and I feel like I already knew all of the, the Fall Out Boy, the Green Day, the
Yes.
Boys Like Girls, all that. But like, there's songs like Ohio is for Lovers. I had never heard Hawthorne Heights in my life.
So same. So we're like the
Before-
similar age, and so I'm the exact same boat. I love the Fall Out Boy, all that, and it's the Hawthorne Heights, and I could go through the set and like be like, yeah, I've
You
never
guys do
heard
any
of that.
saves a day?
No, but
Okay.
they would know.
Yeah,
that.
those
See,
guys
like-
are closer to an
Yeah,
age to me
right.
then. Yeah.
Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
Yep.
All Time Low. Like, I feel like I discovered those from Y'all Out Boy, actually.
Yeah, same. I love them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went and saw All Time Low live.
Yeah, I mean they played at Stubbs.
I saw them at ACL Live.
Okay, nice.
This was last summer-ish.
Yeah, I've seen them at Stubbs. They were there a few years ago, so we'll be there as well, covering All Time Low.
What are the top 3 biggest crowd pleasers?
I scream Stacy's mom over and over.
Because
between
that's
every
one that
song.
like kind of we talk about like staying true to the genre. That doesn't fully belong in the set
Right.
list. But there's like a few of those that we just do because they're like Mr. Brightside technically doesn't belong in the set list, but that one
kills.
crushes.
Okay.
Like crushes. Sugar We're Going Down, just destroys.
But that absolutely belongs in Subway.
Like things like Black Parade. Really, there's a ton, right? That crush. It's kind of like nonstop bangers.
Right,
Throw in
right.
one song for the ladies, which always bops. You throw in Taylor Swift's Love Story.
We do a pop punk cover of Love Story, which is like a cool rendition of it. It's cool. I'm a fan of that one.
Top 3.
Which I feel like you should continue that with
I know.
Check Yes Juliet right after.
We play Check Yes Juliet.
Yeah, but those need to come.
Top 3 least favorite songs you have to play.
Scotty
You're gonna
doesn't
bang
know.
this out real quick, huh?
Scotty doesn't
That's one of
know.
my least favorite to hear too.
Okay, we need more of you in the crowd.
Well, no, because there's all
When the
those.
crowd starts
those
chanting,
Yeah.
Fuck
doesn't
Scotty,
know.
yeah.
Scotty doesn't know, and we're like,
That's
we're
when I
not
say,
playing this
"Stacy's
song.
mom."
So Scotty doesn't know. That was quick.
Yeah. What else? I'd have to go through the set, honestly.
I thought they would hurt more that you would know them so quickly.
Well, once I see them, I'm like, I hate that. I really don't like playing "Damn It" by Blink-182.
Okay.
Which that's a crowd pleaser, but
Yeah.
I just don't like that song that much. What else? There'd be some like more deeper cuts that we've had in there that I wouldn't be the biggest fan of.
So these are like really tough songs to sing, and I love that everyone in the band sing. Does Wiley sing too?
He does, not as much as the three of us, but he also can sing.
Yeah, I love that everyone in the band trades off vocals.
Yeah.
Which,
I like that you like that. Sometimes we're like, is that like a cool thing or is it?
Well, because everyone
distracting?
sounds good. Like
Yeah.
if there was one guy that tanked, I'd be like, get him
Right.
on stage.
Right,
but-
right.
No, I
No,
think
yeah,
that's
the three in the front, so bass, guitar, we all can sing. Now Alex, the center guy, the front man, he's the one
does,
with
like,
the
probably
range,
60%
and
of the
he's
songs.
got that pop punk like range that very, very few people on earth can hit that type of range, and you need it to play these songs. So he was the last piece of the band that we found. It took a long time actually to find the lead vocalist. And I remember when he tried out, and we were like, "Oh shit, we found him!" Like it was he carries a lot of the band, just vocally.
How many of the band members are married?
All of them except me.
Attaboy.
I think Jason got
Jason just recently got married.
engaged on stage, didn't he?
Not on stage, but he met his now wife at a Y'all Out Boy show.
Do rock stars really get the tail?
I mean, I think there's
Covered in groupies after the show.
there's definitely like an
Are there
element
cover
of,
band
like,
groupies?
Yeah.
Yes. Keeping the dream alive for us, man.
Cosmetics are covered in groupies.
I mean, there's just an element of like someone on stage, like when there's a bunch of people like cheering that, like they appear larger than life. Like I'm a dweeb, I'm like a nerdy guy, like, but on stage, you could put anyone in
On
that.
stage,
Right.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's a thing.
Is that fun? Is that enjoyable? Do you like it? Does it make you feel uncomfortable?
Was this your dream at 14?
No, it's totally fun. It's a surreal feeling. Now, it's not real. Like, again, like, the persona of someone on stage is not them. Like, you're playing a part to an extent. And so I've had it happen a lot of times where, like, I'll meet someone at a show, and it's just like they expect me to be someone completely different than who I actually am. But no, like, being on stage, playing that music, like, soaking up the energy, like, we all love that.
Are there any crazy Y'all Out Boy stories that, like, you know, this one time at insert venue?
Chicken flew on stage and you had to decapitate it.
I mean, I don't know if there's, like, one that stands out. I wish the other guys were here. We could, like, trade stories. But, I mean, your typical, like, drunk person, like, rushes the stage or, like, just random stuff.
Decides he's going to, like, sing with the lead singer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, instruments breaking, that's nonstop, you know. Yeah, I'd have to come back to you on the best war stories.
I like that. You let us know if anything comes top of mind.
Okay, we mentioned the album, The Punk Goes Crunk, earlier, where pop punk bands covered pop music. Are there any current pop songs that you think would have a really sick pop punk rendition of it?
So we're doing one at Stubbs. Now, I don't know if it's going to hit. Jason decided that we're going to do it. Are you like a Noah Kahn fan at all?
I know Stick Season and Dial Drunk.
So Stick Season is the one we're going to do at Stubbs.
Okay, I think that could be really good.
And so we were just playing it last night, actually. And we'll see how it does. But, you know, especially for the anniversary show, we like to try to do different things that if you've been to a bunch of shows, you'll see a bunch of stuff that we've never done. And so that's one of them.
Is there anyone else playing with you?
A special guest?
So we just invited a local kind of indie rock artist to open the show. And so Taylor Ray.
So Taylor Ray opening up for Y'all Out Boy at Stubbs. When?
July 27th.
July 27th. It's a Saturday. I think I can.
I'm bringing Jake Davis. You should
okay.
come too. He would love to see you.
That'd be awesome. And if it's on a Saturday, sure.
2,500 best friends at Stubbs.
I love that.
Yeah, it'll be packed. It'll be sweet.
Get your tickets.
Yeah. Before they're on
before they're on resale.
Right? We should just buy a whole bunch of them and hand them out to the people at the office. Make it a thing.
I'd be down.
Right? I don't even know. What are they going for now? Do we know?
Going for a whopping $25.
$25. Gold Star might have to sponsor some tickets and take some, personal message me if you're interested in going to Y'all Out Boy.
There we go.
Right?
Let's see. I felt like I had a good question loaded up and then totally forgot about it.
It happens. So I want to talk more about the musical side of things.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are obviously, again, doing all the covers and everything. Is anyone else in any other bands? If so, what kind of genres are we talking about? Is it kind of still the pop punk, or do you have the one guy who, like, actually turns out he's a bluegrass guy? Like, is there any of that?
Plays jazz drums.
So we all have done different bands, original bands. No one is in other bands right now.
Okay.
Now, a few years ago, the drummer, he played in two bands. He was more an indie rock band. They were called Tortuga Shades. Indie rock.
Mm-hmm.
I've played in more like pop rock bands.
Okay.
Back in the day, and then the other two have been in like original pop punk bands. But everyone just does Y'all Boy now. There's no major side projects.
How often are you guys playing?
In Austin, typically once a month. And then we also do San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. And so those aren't as frequent as Austin shows, but call it like once every couple to 3 months.
Who's got the best fans?
Austin for sure.
Okay,
because
just
we're all
making
from
sure.
here. We've played here the most. We've built it up here the most by far.
Yeah, every time I see
San Antonio's a good market too, and they love it.
Every time I see Van Full of Nuns come down from Dallas, I'm like, what's the point?
I know. I love how you know them. Yeah, actually, like there's been a number of copycats that have like popped up.
Which they did that festival at Buck's Backyard with
How was
Bowling
it?
for Soup.
Did you go?
I went for Bowling for Soup,
Yeah.
which was great.
That's sweet.
It was before the whatever the obese guitarist name is.
Yeah.
Couldn't continue.
No, and they're
playing
great.
with the
They're
band.
great. I've never seen them play, but there's more too who have done similar concepts like Emotion Avenue. I think is here in Austin. I've never seen them, but Y'all Out Boy was first.
Well, so I feel like
Excuse me.
now maybe it's like the theory of you get a red car, all of a sudden now everyone has red cars. But as soon as I started seeing y'all, performing regularly, I felt like everything became emo pop punk, and this I think it's like what emo night Brooklyn. There's like a touring thing. There's now emo night if you go to Barbarella's on Wednesdays. Then all of a sudden the biggest festival ever hits, the When We Were Young festival. Now all of these artists are getting back together. Now I'm seeing Paramore headline at ACL and Blink 182.
Yep.
Did we just hit the right time of everyone who was growing up then had their kids and now they have available time?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And like we started Y'all Out Boy before that wave came again. And so when the pop punk resurgence happened, like we were going, like we were doing it. And so we've talked about the same thing. Like
I thought it was just Machine Gun Kelly.
It's in vogue again. He was big too. No, yeah,
I'm totally joking.
I love MGK. I'm the only one.
But no, I like MGK. You're
From
totally
Cleveland.
Right. It's pop punk is like in vogue again, and all these bands are getting back together. They're putting out new albums. They're going on tour because like that music's popular again. Yeah.
I felt like in my mid-20s, 80s music was what everybody was doing, and then it's
everything
just like
comes back 20 years later.
Pants are getting baggy again.
Well, yeah, and it's like the people who were in, call it grade school to high school when it was popular, they get to later 20s, 30s, they've got money. They're like, wanting to like go relive the glory days. I think that also has to be like part of the
Cyclical.
There you go. Nature of that.
The stuff that I was growing up when I first got into it, because I started playing guitar when I was 12. The stuff that I like first liked when I started liking music was like, I refer to as butt rock now. It was 3 Days Grace and Seether and Disturbed and
I like
nobody's
Seether.
doing cover bands with that. Yeah, I give it like 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading a weird article that was saying like the music that you listen to between like 9 and 14 is like the music that follows you like your entire life.
I believe that. Yeah.
Because you're so impressionable and you think that's your music, right? Like I can remember, when I was growing up between 9 and 14, those were the years of like Tupac and Biggie and all of that. And I remember listening to those songs and then later in life realizing that all of those are just sampled, right? I mean, the lyrics aren't, but like the actual music. But at the time, I was like, this is so innovative. Yeah. Like these guys have all of these like beats and, just tracks, if you will. And I thought it was all them. And so between 9 and 14 being impressionable and it's like, it's my music. But
those are the greats of rap.
I mean, depends on who you ask, but I would agree with you.
NWA, I think, are the greats of rap. Like, let's put rap on like Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean that would be 10 years prior to what I just described, but sure, I would agree with you. Like, for you that's all in one genre because you're much younger. Like
with rock, I can tell you the year anybody
right.
came onto the scene. When their biggest albums came out. You asked me like a country artist, I could not tell you what year they launched. They could be 80s, they could be now. I don't know.
Any other genres you're into outside of pop punk?
I love country. Yep. So I could tell you more of that.
Have you been to Two Step In?
No.
Oh.
Where is that?
It's a festival in Georgetown.
Mm.
I went the first year, which was 2 years ago. It's a great
cool?
time. Oh, it's fantastic.
No,
My buddy played there. Charlie Crockett.
Oh, my buddy Uncle Cracker played there.
Oh yeah, I know him. That's what's his face's boy, Kid Rock.
Yeah, I just saw Kid Rock live. Still talking about it. That was in April.
I've heard good things. I hear
From
that
me.
at the very. I know tons of people have seen him, and from what I understand, I mean, music aside, just the entertainment alone is insane.
Wait, is Uncle Cracker actually Kid Rock's?
No, it's like
They're just both from Michigan.
yeah, and Kid Rock like put him on, and
Gotcha.
it's one of those things. I feel like everybody who's famous was like put on by someone else. You know, you start to like really dig into music and you identify those things. Like someone told me that the person who basically like discovered The Weeknd was Taylor Swift. Did you know that?
I didn't see that.
And I remember when we were kids, like, you know, Marilyn Manson was all like crazy.
Love Manson.
You know who discovered Marilyn Manson? Trent Reznor.
I believe that.
So it's like all of those things are always fun musical facts.
Totally.
Now that we're getting all musical. So like who founded Y'all Out Boy really?
True. Who put us on the Blind Pig?
Who is that what it was?
Blind Pig on Dirty. Shout out.
Blind Pig is really who
First
set
bar who
Y'all
went to
Out
an
Boy off on their journey.
Yeah, it's funny. Like,
Did you guys have like a residency there for a minute?
No, we did. We played, I think,
3
or
hours.
3 shows there. But when we were getting the band off the ground, you know, we had enough material to play a set about a year in. You know, it takes a while to get it all together. And so we like cold emailed like 16 venues in Austin because, you know, it's like a chicken and the egg problem. It's like you can't play a show until you have a track record of playing shows.
Right.
They all ask for, okay, well, what have you played before? And so trying to get the first one is always tough. And we emailed a bunch of spots. And the one that I got back was the Blind Pig Pub. And they're like, sure, you guys can play. Like, let's get a date on the books. And so we played there in the summer of 2018. Yeah. And it was sweet. I mean, the footage from that is funny. A lot of stuff went wrong, but
Where can we find the footage?
Somewhere in our Google Drive.
You know what y'all should
Okay.
do for like, y'all should like take some footage from those
We've
early
done that,
shows,
yeah.
compile it together.
Yeah,
as,
there's
like, a
some
teaser
clips
for
of
this.
that on our Insta. But yeah, we all look younger.
Does Y'all Out Boy have any future aspirations? Any goals?
So
Open for
I mean,
Smash Mouth.
we've definitely like shattered any major goals. But Jason likes to always be like, all right, what's next, right? Like what's
What's next?
biggest thing we could do? And I think right now the focus is still Stubbs, but after that's done, like we'll have to have some new target because like before this it was like, oh, let's go on tour. Like last summer we did a tour through the Northeast. And then it was all booking emos and selling that out. And then we're like, all right, well, what's bigger than emos? Let's go to Stubbs, booking that, selling that out. If we can do this, I'll have to get back to you. I don't have anything off the top of my head because
The cruise.
there's a ceiling, I feel like, unless you just want
The Y'all Out Boy Cruise.
Oh, there's this cover band in New Orleans, Bag of Donuts, and they did it. Actually, I think they did a cruise with 2 other cover bands.
Tony
Molly
Bag of Donuts?
Ringwalds and the Chiwis.
Really?
These are the big cover show bands of New Orleans. They did a cruise together on
Was it
Carnival
a
Cruise.
big cruise?
Oh, it's huge. They
Really?
sold out.
No way. Interesting. Well, we've joked about that. You know, you can rent like barges out on like Lake Travis. We were like, let's do Y'all Out Boat.
Yeah.
Y'all out
But
skippers.
electricity becomes a problem. How do you make that happen?
Generators.
Yeah, you'd have to do that.
Yeah, you
Right?
should do your MTV Unplugged gig.
Oh yeah. You can't forget the unplugged scene. How do you guys do in terms of merch, man? It looks like you guys have a lot going on.
Yeah. We sell a lot of merch. After every show, you like see the sales. You're like, what? people love it, and so that's a good example. Go get your Y'all Out Boy merch. We got a bunch in stock for the Stubbs show because at Emos last year we got cleaned out so fast and we missed out on a ton of sales.
I bet.
For
I mean, 1,800
stocking up
people.
properly. Yeah, and it's like it's fun and funny and very Austin, and so I think it works.
Do you guys do the designs or you pay someone?
Yeah. Wiley, the drummer, is actually a graphic designer, like by profession, which is a huge hack to have as
Sure.
a member of a
Fan of
band.
armadillos.
And so he does all the video, all of the graphic design that's needed for Y'all Boy, which is like clutch.
Who's running the social medias?
He puts together all of the assets pretty much. So if you see like any of the like recap videos, random ticket giveaways, that's all Wiley.
Who's answering the DMs?
But we all have access to the Instagram. So
I don't know.
it could be one of the
I
four of
tag
us.
y'all and shit all the
Yeah,
time.
it could be any one of the 4 of us. We all can like jump in, and we all do, honestly. So you never know who you got, but you just gotta ask.
They felt like Jason responses.
Yeah, he responds to most DMs, I'd say.
Are you guys
Sending me hearts.
here's one. Is Y'all Out Boy on a level to where like you just show up and you play? Like, do you have roadies and everything?
See, I've been arguing that we should get roadies for a long time because like the shows have become,
Especially if you're a drummer, Wiley.
right? The shows have become like lucrative enough that like we could hire people to do this, but we still just DIY it. Like we're the ones showing up, doing everything, sound checking everything, which is like probably the way it should be. But I've been arguing we should get guitar techs and roadies so we can just walk on and go.
Right? I mean,
maybe for the biggest shows.
Yeah.
That's where I'd be.
Talk about things like, you break a string, and it'd be nice to just like give your guitar to a tech. He gives you the next one, and then you keep going.
I mean, you are in Austin. There's got to be a million of them.
Got to be a million, and they're not expensive.
That's what I mean.
They're not expensive at all. We've never done it.
That could work for the whole
Free
band.
T-shirt, couple beers.
Yeah, like $50. Sweet.
Right. Here's a tab. Get that done. That's what I want for y'all out, boy.
Yeah, we need that. We need the guys who are like in all black. They're the ones like on stage tuning, making sure the stage plot is exactly how we need
That's
it.
what I want for you.
And we just walk on.
Right.
We need
And then
that.
you're done. Somebody's loading the
Oh,
gear.
that would be great.
Right? Like, what do you guys have? A trailer, van? What are we talking
show
about?
up
Sell
in
it,
all-
loading on yourself.
We show up in our cars, and
Man,
each of us
I've
all
got
our
big
own
plans for
stuff.
y'all out, boy. So we first of all
You're getting
need
them a tour
we
bus,
first of
yeah.
all need to incorporate. Second of all, we need a raper van to put all of the equipment in,
Right.
right? Just
Yeah.
make it the y'all out boy van. Pure tax write-off right there.
You gotta paint the logo on the side.
Which will wrap it.
I
That's
know,
also
hilarious.
tax. I mean, I don't need to explain to you. You're the TurboTax of crypto, so you've got this all taken care of. We make an initial investment for y'all out boy. Our lives get so much easier. We've got employees that we're paying $10.99 for tax and everything like that. What are we doing?
We gotta upgrade. We gotta go take it to the next level. Enough of this DIY shit.
And then eventually, for the smaller venues, you just start swapping guys out if they just kind of like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll just take my little cut of whatever the venue makes, and like, no one's gonna know any different.
We've joked about that.
They'll
before,
never
like,
know.
Imagine like at some point, like we've been doing it for a long time, but at some point we just like don't tell anyone and we swap out everyone, and we're like, y'all boys playing at Empire tonight, and like 4 random dudes come out. We just wonder like how many people would be like, that's not y'all out, boy.
I don't know why Daft Punk hasn't done that.
Right? Yeah. I mean, look at this. Look at the brainstorming we got going on. Y'all Out Boy could be playing 4 shows at 4 venues on the same night,
Well,
and
that's
no one
something
would know.
that we've
And now we're in the
experimented
Blue Man
with
Group.
over the years is like, what's the frequency you can play without saturating the market? And so what we found is we'd like to do bigger shows. Frankly, they're just more fun for us. And so like to be able to sell like 1,000 tickets at Empire, like we've found like once a month is kind of the sweet spot because you do saturate it, right? It's not like.
But if you buy the van and you have the techs and you get guys that can just plug and play,
and we just go 300-person events and just every week.
right? And then, these guys are like, the musicians are like, all we do is show up. We say we're Y'all Out Boy. We play 25 songs and we go home. And they're like, this is the easiest thing ever. And you guys are just doing the text, doing the van, doing the marketing.
But then we're bored and we're not doing what we love.
Yeah.
No, you guys play the big shows. You do the shows you want to do.
That's fair.
You don't play the Blind Pig anymore.
right,
We're
right,
above that. Like,
That's for the All Boy B team.
right, exactly.
JV.
Right? I mean, think about it. We've got the Dallas Stars, right, that play like down here at the HEB Center. But they're not the NHL team, right? Like, you've got the AAA Y'all Out Boy. You got the AA. You want to see the Round Rock Express? Or do you want to go watch the Astros? Like, you're the Astros.
I wanna go to the Round Rock Express.
We get hit up for like a decent amount of private events.
Okay.
And we can't do all those, so that's where it would really work.
Well, we've talked about doing private events here where,
Send the JV team
We
to
can't
private
afford
events.
them.
we can
I'm
afford the
sure they'll
JV
charge you,
team.
like, $20,000 a show now.
Yeah, for the A team of Y'all Boy, like that's why we turn down private events. It just economically doesn't make sense, when
Yeah.
we could play like public shows, and you burn a weekend typically if you're gonna do a private show.
We'll get like Crawl Out Boy. All right?
It's like crawling out of.
It's twice removed from Fallout Boy.
Right.
It's like, in no way associated with Y'all Out Boy.
Like the bass player's like the only guy from the original band, because he lives in the neighborhood.
I forgot the whole point. We're talking to him. Is there the B team of Fallout Boy?
Exactly. That's so funny that now there's Crawl Out Boy, which is like twice removed from Fallout Boy.
I just hope my kickball team.
See? We're just brainstorming here. We got ideas.
I know, that's what's so funny is like it's gotten big, and it's like you gotta remember like we're the joke of Fallout Boy.
Who? Exactly.
Exactly.
Y'all Out Boy. That's the A team. Who wants to see Fallout
I
Boy?
say the issue with seeing Fallout Boy is they play the not hits too.
Exactly.
Y'all aren't doing any B-sides.
No, it's just bangers only.
Right.
People get the whole shebang of that whole era. One go. It's like Vans Warped Tour on speed mode.
That's the next thing y'all do.
Vans
It's
Warped
that
Tour is
y'all
kind of dead.
No, but
Oh.
you revive it. You bring some other bands with you who are,
people we cover.
the people you'll cover.
Wow, now that's
Well,
a
similar
thing.
to what Van Full and Nuns did on that one show in Buck's backyard. Y'all get the Bowling for Soups and the.
No, what we got to
trying to think
do
of some one-hit wonders.
is so a handful of venues
We the Kings.
are notoriously difficult to deal with. Just comes with the territory. Every musician would say the same thing. Right?
Okay.
And so it's like, let's vertically integrate. Let's go buy a venue and turn it into the emo pop punk venue of Austin.
So I had this idea too. So I was in Nashville last weekend on Broadway, and like every big country singer like has their own
their own
bar
spot.
there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so my friend and I we went to like Miranda Lambert's bar and
Kid
Garth
Rock.
Brooks' bar and Kid Rock's of course.
Morgan Wallen's bar.
Yeah, we watched a woman get taken out of Morgan Wallen's bar for being too drunk.
Shocker.
But I was thinking, at the very end of Chuck Berry's life, he did die, right?
Yeah.
Am I making this up? He bought this bar in Minneapolis called Blueberry Hill, and he said, if you want to see me play, you come to Blueberry Hill. I'm not touring anymore. I'm 88 years old. I'm done with this shit. I feel like any
That's what Chappelle's done.
big artist. Well, I mean, Yakov Smirnoff has his own theater in Branson. You want
Right.
to see Yakov, you're going to Branson.
Yeah.
If you want to hear, in Russia jokes. I
Right.
feel like you'd be a big fan of that.
Yeah, I would. It'd be fun with a Russian girl.
And so I feel like it would take. This could be the future. Artists just hate touring so much. They all just buy their own bar, and then they just do smaller shows where people would probably like it better. They're
Yeah.
Vegas
Now
residents.
the difference is those are like big time people.
Could y'all do it? I don't know. You'd have to get other artists.
Try not, but it's a funny thought experiment for sure.
Is Fallout Boy still touring, or are they done?
Yeah, they're still going. They're still
Yeah,
big.
I saw them
They're
with
still big.
Weezer and Green Day on the stadium tour.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Was it good?
The Hella Mega tour.
Interesting.
Here.
I saw it in Dallas.
Gotcha.
Green Day was by far the best part of that, but I've seen Weezer so many times. I've seen Weezer like 7 times.
Wow.
Billy
never
Joel
seen
still
Weezer.
going hard.
Oh,
I've seen Green Day twice.
Yeah, I've seen Green Day.
Come back in September. They were going to be with Smashing Pumpkins. Smashing Pumpkins got off lineup, but
Yeah, it's them. Is it just the two of them? I feel like, isn't there one more? They're like Rancid?
it's like Pixies or something. Rancid, I could see that.
I think it is Rancid. I really do. Like, there's a third one. My buddy wants me to go to it up in Cleveland, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I'm a little too old for this now. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Get enough beers in
So,
me.
David, what else are you listening to? I'm sure pop punk is not what you listen to on the daily.
Not all the time. No.
Now that it's
Sometimes,
your
like
career.
once you get off stage, like I need to not listen to.
What's on your Spotify right now?
I got really into the 1975
Oh,
They played
okay.
at ACL this past year. I've been spinning that over and over, like going through the whole discography because I was never a
I've seen them
fan.
3 times. They're good.
And they're super good. A friend of mine is a big fan. He's like, dude, we got to go ACL weekend 2, see the 1975. And I knew of them, but I saw them live, and they're like one of those bands where you see live, and they're better live than
Interesting.
their like studio stuff. So I was like, big fan.
I dated a chick that was so into them. I feel
Yeah.
like I've heard so much 1975. Not that they're bad.
Go see them live.
I've never
It'll-
send them
it'll
live.
Influence your opinion of them.
No, I like
No, they have
them.
good stuff, but like truly live, they were awesome.
Interesting.
It was
Okay.
a really good show.
What do you like about them the best, live wise?
God, the song Love It If We
Vocals,
Made It.
like
What do I like the most? I mean, they're like they do everything live, right?
Yeah. They're actually playing.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, I don't know. It was just such a good show. Such a good
Interesting.
show. Yeah,
I like that.
they were killer. But that's also right at my genre. Like,
Are they
I
gonna be here
love
this year?
Poppy rock, like
No.
I went to 2 years in a row.
love that.
Blink 182 is one of the headliners. So
Mm-hmm.
that's-
Did you see our Instagram post of us photoshopping our name
Yes.
into the ACL?
I think I
lineup?
shared it.
You would be blown away how many people thought that was real.
Okay, something I've
And
always,
were they excited, or was it like
they're like it's people mostly who were not in Austin, right? And so that's fair that they wouldn't know that there's 0% chance that Y'all Out Boy is headlining ACL.
never say never? Oh,
But,
headlining.
Can
Okay.
can a cover band play ACL?
I really don't think they'd be thrilled about it. Yeah, I don't think so. It's
Might cheapen the whole idea.
music. Exactly.
Okay, real question here. So 1985 is my go-to karaoke song.
Love it.
I can do it completely pissed drunk if I need to. I mostly do karaoke sober, though. The breakdown, the stop.
Yeah.
Oh, bring back Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Okay. At y'all shows,
Yep.
I always used to scream as loud as I could during that one, whatever that half beat break.
Yes.
Now y'all stop this song there. Wait for crowd applause before you come back.
That's right.
Do I have anything to do with that? Well, I've been to like 20 shows. I feel like it's a reasonable question.
Oh, I love that you just asked
You
that.
don't have anything to do with it, to my knowledge. We've been doing that for a long time. But it is a funny moment. Is we just stop and then we just wait, and then Jason hypes up the crowd.
Well, it's a great time.
But you know what? Actually, it's
my
because of you. It's
Yes.
because of
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Makes
I thought
sense.
you were like, here's one dweeb in the audience that gives us this high pitched yell every
How
time.
did you originally hear about Y'all Boy? Do you remember?
I
It
think
was 2021,
It was the third anniversary show.
which was at Empire.
Yeah, it was at Empire. Yeah, I think my buddy Jay, shout out Jay Worst. I think he's like, hey man, there's this pop punk cover band playing. I was like, I don't have anything going on.
Where's Empire? I don't even feel like I even know what that
Empire
is.
7th and Red River.
Oh, okay.
Across from the creek in the cave.
Yeah, all right.
Close to
I've never
Mohawk.
been there.
That's actually probably my favorite venue in Austin to play. I love
Interesting.
Empire. They're so good there. They're so pro. The sound system is amazing. Their sound engineers are, and it always the sound and the lighting.
What
the
kind of
lighting
club are we
designers
talking
are
about
awesome.
here?
This is half outdoor, half garage.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like this garage that opens up into, kind of just outdoor
Courtyard.
courtyard. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh wait, I think I know where that is.
It's kind of little dingy, a little
I've never seen anybody there though.
but it's good. I love playing Empire.
So Jay
Do
Worst.
you have a dream venue?
I've had stubs on the list for many, many years. I've just seen so many very, very big acts at
It's on
stubs.
Rolling Stone's top 11 greatest venues in the country.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mohawk also is.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So I'm very excited, because it's the exact same run of show that all those bands go through with them, and so it's cool.
Have you ever seen Fall Out Boy?
Yep.
Have you ever
Couple
met
times.
Fall Out
I've
Boy?
met them.
Do they know about you?
So we've asked the same question, and I would think yes, because you know how social media works. If I started a huge band and someone made a parody of my band, that's gonna get sent to them at some point, being like, look at this cover band that's Y'all Out Boy. Isn't that hilarious? So I would wager that they have been sent something of us. But I have no idea. Maybe they have zero clue, and that wouldn't surprise me either.
At this point, I don't think it would phase them.
Yeah. We were, what was the band? I'm blanking on it. Who plays,
Ooh, here we go.
Make Damn Sure. Taking Back Sunday. Taking Back Sunday was on tour recently. And we didn't realize it, but they were playing Dallas the night that we were playing a recent show. But they were playing Austin the next day. And so we DM'd them being like, hey, we're playing this sold-out show at Empire in Austin tonight. You guys should totally come on and play Make Damn Sure with us. It'll be, a sweet content moment. And they, hit us back. They're like, sorry, we're in Dallas tonight. But
Sorry, screw you.
yeah. But they were, nice. And, our last anniversary show you were at, we had a buddy from Something Corporate, which was a scene band back in the day. The drummer played a song with us.
Yeah, I didn't know about that band.
I think the violin player of Yellow
Aren't they-
Card lives in Round Rock, so maybe we should.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Well, as you get older, I'm sure these bands will start to fizzle out even further, and then you
Yeah,
know,
and then they'll entertain it, like Bowling
Right.
for Soup
Yeah, you
playing
gotta get the
with
morbidly
Van Full of
obese 'cause-
Nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Bowling for Soup is from Texas, so that makes even more sense.
Come back to Texas.
Exactly.
That was the best song y'all did, but y'all haven't done that in a while.
You like that one?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Oh my God.
I like hearing that because I like that song too. The other
Mexican
three,
food
I don't
sucks.
like
No,
it as
don't
much.
anyway.
But I love Bowling for Soup. See, we're similar ages. That's why.
How old are you?
29.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Young Bucks.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Young Bucks.
I felt like Bowling for Soup was always around. Like when I was.
I loved Bowling. That was like
felt like they-
17 when I was on the school bus to like elementary school.
I felt like they played on like the Nick at Night,
Yeah.
like Slime Fest.
Yeah. Listening.
I remember when Bowling for Soup came out, and I was thinking, this is awful.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
this
like-
is
you're
for
like-
kids.
You're like the other guys.
Yeah, well, because I mean,
Hey, I was a kid. It
right.
Was for me.
For me at that age, I would have been like 25.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like in a bar watching
Sure.
punk bands.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that would not hit at 25.
right. So it was like, well, no, Bowling for Soup was not my jam, but
No.
I got it. You know, even some of the stuff like I remember right when
It's a little more like cheesier for
Right.
sure type of music, you know.
something corporate though. What did they sing? You like said that name and I'm like, that sounds familiar to
What was
me.
the big one we did last
While looking up the name of the something corporate song that hit. Anything else you want to plug or promote or that you think we should know?
Punk Rock Princess was the
Punk
one we did
Rock
at
Princess.
Emos with the drummer of Something Corporate. Shout out Brian, what's up?
There we go.
Anything else I want to
That's a big
promote?
gig for 'em.
The biggest thing, actually. So they also kind of came back and they're riding a little bit of this
Oh, really?
pop punk resurgence. So they played a couple shows out in California.
Who is
I
this?
think
Something
Something
Corporate.
Corporate.
Something Corporate, okay.
Who the front man of Something Corporate started a Jack's Mannequin, if you guys remember that band, and that's a bigger band than Something Corporate. Anyways. The biggest thing is the Stubbs show, July 27th. It will sell out, so get your tickets while you can.
I'm getting my tickets right after we get off here.
50% sold out. We're a month out. So
Okay. Crazy
your tickets.
question. This might be just me being completely delusional, but I mean, now that you're playing venues and you have 1,800 people showing up, do you ever get like recognized in public? These
Yeah.
people like stop you in HEB?
Are you Austin famous?
All the time. Yep. Like,
Interesting.
typically like once a week.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Especially if I'm out. Like if I'm going out drinking with some friends, typically at least once during that night.
Guys or girls?
Both.
Yeah.
But
See,
mostly guys, I'd say.
if I saw anyone from your band in like Lifetime Fitness, best believe. I'm
Who
stopping.
fanboys harder, guys or girls?
I don't think they to be family. They're just like, you're the guitarist from Y'all Boy.
Okay.
Then maybe we'll take a picture. But
That's fanboying.
mostly guys, I'd say.
All right, the guys are fanboying.
I think they're less. They're just gonna come right up to you.
That's true.
Is that fun? Is it irritating?
Yeah,
Is
no,
it
it's great. I love it. Every time it happens, we like text each other. Being, I just got recognized at the gym. Or like, because again, it shouldn't be happening.
right?
So
I think it's great.
It's just like
the most popular band in Austin.
What in the world has this become?
Like, I don't think there's a more popular cover band in Austin.
No, I don't think so.
That's
Which is
wild.
great. I'll take
That's
that.
insane.
This little thing that we started for fun. And, sometimes they
You
organically
rode the
work.
wave at the right time.
We did.
If you started now, it wouldn't have the same.
No, there was like a window in time that it worked. And we were there.
Are you at the point where anyone can quit their job?
Yeah, we could do it full time.
Okay.
But we talked about it would take away a lot of the fun. Because if you do it full
Yeah.
time, all of a sudden you're playing every weekend. You
Yeah.
got to travel a lot more. Because
That's
again,
right.
you can't play Austin every weekend.
Yeah.
And so you could just do the Texas circuit and do Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio once per month. But I mean, like these guys, some of the guys have families, like and like truly, could you bang your head to Blink-182 every weekend? I think it would take away. I mean, for me, that I would-
Who loves it the most?
Jason, the
What's
guy
he play?
Who runs it. He's the bass player.
Okay.
and sings.
He's so happy on stage.
Yeah, he's great. He kills.
He's living
it.
his best life
Amazing
in Y'all
stage
Out Boy.
presence. Yes.
He seems like the boomer of the band. How old is he?
He's 37.
The boomer of the band. Oh my God. He's
He's
37.
the uncle of the band.
Cut that clip and send it.
Oh man, we will
But
definitely
what's
cut that
funny
clip
is
and send
he's
it.
like the young spirit of band. Well, I mean, people would say I am as well, but I am younger. But he loves it. But that's not to say we all don't, of course. But he's living his life up there.
I always try to bring in kind of like an entrepreneurial type of thing to this podcast. So from like a business and entrepreneurial standpoint, what's some of the big key takeaways from what you've gotten out of Y'all Out Boy outside of like, you know, the obvious fun? And
The biggest thing that's like you wouldn't see is one of the main reasons the band hit fast is the Facebook algorithm was in our favor when we started the band. So back in 2018, Zuckerberg and Facebook was really pushing Facebook events, if you remember this. They wanted Facebook to be a spot where you hosted events, and so anytime you created an event, it would send that event to everyone's timeline who's in your friend circle. And so we would like post Y'all Boy at Blind Pig, and it would get like 500 RSVPs in like 2 days.
wow.
So it was just like this crazy distribution hack to get the word out that we were playing. 2 years later, that no longer existed. If you create a Facebook event today, it's not getting sent to everyone.
Right.
But that's one hack that, like, by no skill of our own, it was just like that was a thing of the time, and it helped, get that cold start problem of starting anything, and like we got distribution through Facebook events.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd attribute business related, entrepreneurial related that's worked for the band that people can implement in real?
The name has been so big because we do a lot of advertising still on like Facebook and Instagram. And when you're scrolling and you see Y'all Out Boy, like immediately it's like, oh, what is that? But you kind of have an idea immediately of what it is. And it just stops you scrolling. And our ads, a large part because of the name, catch people's attention, and then of course they're more interested to click through, to watch, to try to figure out what it is. I would attribute a good amount of the marketing success just to the name, which I don't think is universally true with businesses. I don't think name is always that important, but for this, the name has been huge. Like imagine like scrolling through like a van full of nuns.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea what that means.
What they are,
yeah.
Right. Y'all Out Boy, it's immediately like you kind of have a guess and you want to stop to figure out what it is.
That makes sense.
Okay, I got a story about names. So during the pandemic, do you remember this time where it's like artists were trying to have shows and people wanted to go to shows, but everything had to be so socially distanced that like Dave Chappelle was performing at Stubbs, but you had to buy the whole picnic table.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to say this as fast as I read it. The band Red Hot Chili Peppers were performing at I forget what the small it might have been Emo's actually. Like it was a venue that Red Hot Chili Peppers would not be performing at. But Red Hot Chili Peppers was using a picture of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like I mean one of their iconic photos, like Flea jumping, like
oh my gosh, that's funny.
And I was like almost at the like checkout counter of like buying a 4-top table for $250 because I'm like, this is insane. Like they're doing such a small venue. Thank you, COVID. And I looked and I was like, wait a minute. This is Red Hot Chili Peppers.
So did we see the Red Hot Chili Peppers or
No,
not?
I did not check out. I was actually very upset. I texted like
I was
4
wondering
people.
how they were.
Honestly, I should have gone.
Right?
Maybe they would have been the next Y'all Out Boy for me.
Funny.
That's what I mean.
Well,
Maybe they're franchising now.
The Killers played Emos like a year ago.
Yeah.
Which that's crazy.
I've seen-
I didn't go, but I wish I would have because that'd be a fun band to see in such a small.
Well, I remember that was one of
venue.
those impossible to get
Yep,
tickets
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
like when the Foo
Morning
Fighters
of.
did ACL Live.
Where did they play?
They played at the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
They played
What do you mean?
ACL, and
Yeah.
then like they played the small Moody Theater.
Got
I
it.
think it's
I was
ACL
gonna-
Live technically.
Yeah, and like it was one of those you get tickets the second.
You twitch.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get the ticket or not.
I hate those.
I was gonna say, what are
Well, they're
your
all botted.
I'm a huge fan of Jack White, and he's had a lot of those. You got to Twitch to get the tickets.
Yeah, that is one of the things that frustrates me sometimes about, live venues and stuff. I feel like there's always kind of that balance point where it's like, how much do I have to spend to get like a decent seat? And then is it really worth it? Because I have definitely spent some good amount of money to go and see people and sat in like I feel this way sometimes about ACL, right? Like, I'm just not the guy that's going to like claw my way to the stage. Right. Those days are behind me. And like, then there's the VIP, and then you can do this and you can do that. And then eventually, by the time I find myself in a seat or whatever you want to say, that like, I'm like, wow, okay, I really feel like I'm enjoying this. $500-$600 later, I'm I don't know if this is worth it. And I'm just like, I don't know. I go back and forth on that with concert stuff because moving to Austin, from Cleveland, the live music scene here is just, it's amazing. It does not compare to like where I'm from. And there's so many good musicians, and I've seen so many good live shows of people that aren't Foo Fighters, for example, and like talk to the band afterward and just really a lot of times have just what I would consider to be a way better experience. And I'm constantly like thinking about that when I'm like looking at like, oh, am I going to go see Green Day with the Smashing Pumpkins? And you're like I went and saw Rage Against the Machine just recently, right?
Wait, where was that?
In Cleveland. Yeah, me and a couple buddies, we bought tickets, and we had to wait 2 years to see them because although Rage Against the Machine says, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, if it involves COVID and vaccinations, they'll do whatever the fuck they're told. So I saw them 2 years after we purchased the tickets, but like we were in the upper mezzanine on like the left-hand side, and they were decent seats, but like I'm looking directly down, and they were like $300 a piece. And I'm in Cleveland, right? So it was a great show. I don't regret it, but that was one of those like tipping point dollar, pound for pound type of concerts where I was like, was that worth it? It was great, but I think
does a song like "Killing in the Name of" feel the same when you're sitting in the mezzanine? Like, that feels like that's a pit song.
Well, it got worse. So the show prior to that they played, I don't recall what city they were in, but Zach De La Rocha broke his foot. So he did his very best in regards to like trying to get into the music, but he was seated the entire time.
Okay, Dave Grohl did some killer shows when he broke his.
Yeah, I saw them when he was in the Throne. It was great. Yeah,
also
at the XL in Minneapolis, it was a sweet show.
When James Hetfield from Metallica burned his arm.
Yeah,
the best vocal shows he's ever done because he wasn't also playing guitar at the same time.
Interesting. See, maybe I did see a great show. I don't know. I've only seen Rage once.
Right.
Rage Against the Wheelchair.
Yeah.
We had to do that once. Alex fractured his foot, so he was sitting the whole show. Oh, we were going hard
Give
around
him the Dave Grohl throne.
Yeah, he was sitting in this purple chair. It was pretty funny. It was good.
You got anything else you want to cover?
Oh, no, I think I got that.
I always know how long we've been in this room based on how hot it starts to get because before the podcast, I turn the temperature down to 70.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, it's about what it is. So we usually will go like 2 hours. I know right at an hour and a half, I'm like, I'm getting really fucking warm in here. No matter what I do, I have it turned down as low as it'll go. It gets so hot in here with the lights and everything. But yeah, we usually run about 2 hours.
That's perfect.
Y'all ever think about having a celebrity introduce a band?
No, we've never thought about that.
Okay, the wheelchair reminded me of this. This might be totally not PC at all.
That's why it's market on the rocks.
Okay, this is one of the most badass things I've ever seen. Do y'all know who Steve Gleason is? This guy okay, let me give you a little background and finish the show off with this before I get canceled. So this guy used to play for New Orleans Saints. He's also a big like 90s rock fan. He got ALS a little while back. He talks with a computer like Stephen Hawking, not rest in peace now that he's a sex offender. So Steve Gleason was introducing Pearl Jam at Jazz Fest. And I was like, how's this going to go? Like, they push him on stage. This guy, dead ass, gets up to the microphone. He goes, "Are you ready to rock?" Were
you there?
An impressionable college student. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's
I was like, this is the most badass shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, do you have anybody that's famous that has been like has reached out to you or anything?
Matthew McConaughey also.
Do you guys know Young Jamie, the producer of
Joe
Rogan's podcast?
Yeah.
He's a big fan of y'all.
He's from Ohio.
Is he?
Yeah, Columbus.
Yeah, so he's here now, and he's been to a bunch of Y'all Boy shows.
That's hilarious.
He needs to bring Joe sometime.
I've never met him. I just know of him
yeah,
again
just like,
because
young
of
Jamie, put on that clip.
well, the Ohio connection. He's from Columbus, and then Tony Hinchcliffe, who's out here, is from Youngstown, and I actually know some people that know him personally. So like everyone from Ohio, it's like we're all related. So that those
Everybody's from Ohio these days.
it's weird. It's weird. Like
yeah, what we should do, like we don't do any of this, but like we should like send some like Instagram DMs to like people who are in Austin who are like kind of famous.
right.
Be like, hey, free tickets if you want them, and like there's a chance maybe they've heard of us and they'd take us up on it. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Especially if they saw the Y'all Out bus, the
van.
Y'all Out crew that handles all the guitar tech,
Right.
sets up the drums and everything, and you guys are just hobnobbing while all your shit's getting set
I
up
would
and
love
torn
that.
down,
Yeah,
All the crew.
signing autographs, selling more T-shirts that way.
chilling in the green room.
I bet that you could sell more merch if you guys were doing it while your shit was being broken down. You would sell enough merch in addition to what you
that's for
normally sell to pay for all of the things that you don't want to do.
I agree. It's true.
Just because people are like, "Oh,
Come
you
up
were
to the
so
table.
good," you're like, "Hey, yeah, but you go the hat, to this, to that," and
Get a T-shirt.
right,
Get 3.
exactly.
I saw this comedian. His name's Craig Gass. This again, I am a music nerd. I've seen the band Kiss 12 times. This man is a Kiss comedian. He does entire shows just based off the band Kiss. And I saw him in Austin, and then I saw him again at his New York show because I was going to the Kiss's final 2 shows. And
If you caught that,
my friend and I go meet him, and I was like, yeah, I saw you I was like, yeah, we both saw you at the Austin show 2 months ago. And he goes, okay, great. What size shirt do y'all wear? And like, we could not say no at that point. $45 T-shirts. Thanks, Craig.
see there, take notes, take notes.
That's funny. You guys are so good. Yeah, what size shirt are you?
Who's fighting this, by the way? You said that you were the one that was really into it. Who's fighting this?
I don't think anyone's like straight up fighting it. They're just like they'd roll their eyes when they hear me say that.
See, they all have imposter syndrome.
I know.
Leave it to the young
That's
guys.
what it
God,
is.
imposters.
We talk about imposter syndrome on this all the time, where people are like, "Oh, we're not there yet." No, we're there. We're there, and we can find other ways to supplement this income.
Purchase order in. We're getting the van. We're getting it wrapped. We're getting the roadies.
Get Exhibit to pimp my ride.
Right? What would the Y'all Out van wrap look like?
I think we'd have to go. We'd have to bring the armadillo.
There we go.
That's
I like that.
We've incorporated that with the brand.
We've got a graphic designer on the payroll already.
exactly.
Like, he could design the wrap.
Put them to work.
I'm talking Econoline 350, right? No windows, so that when it's parked in the back alley, no one knows what's inside of there. We don't need people stealing
Groupies.
any sort of equipment, right?
True. That's like a banner for come break into me.
Right. And then again, if there's no windows, they can't get in. That allows for more artwork on the wrap. I'm loving this. And then
Probably
whoever
wouldn't be that expensive either.
No, it wouldn't. And whoever's the brokest in the band can drive it around. It's like a moving billboard.
No, that's actually hilarious.
Figuring out who the broke is in the band. is.
There's always going to be someone who's like,
Tearing
my car's
your
broke
car.
down. I'm going to be driving the van. You're like, well, it's really supposed to be for business. Like, it's a moving billboard. I can already see the band conversation,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
David, it was
Thank
great
you.
to
Thank
have
you
you
so
on.
much.
I'm
Very
excited
fun.
to see y'all out, boy.
Yeah, you gotta come.
July
Let
27th.
me know when y'all are coming.
Stubbs. Oh, you'll know we're there
be there.
because
I
when
already got the
1985 hits, he's going to scream like a white girl.
Bring back Bruce Springsteen, Madonna.
Yeah, we'll fade out to that. You keep it going.
Way before Nirvana, there was U2 and Blondie, and music still on MTV. Her 2 kids in high school, they tell her that she's uncool, cause she's still preoccupied with 1919,
get you up there.
1980. Woohoo!